there's something else that you really love about teaching your particular grade level. But this is not just for teachers. As I said, this is also for this whole channel, really, is for uh, teachers, but also parents or anybody who impacts the energetic development of children. And I thought good and long about how I wanted to word that. And I really like what I ended up with, because really all the talk about SEL, which I've been talking about SEL for years and years and years. And then it became so overly used that people hate the term. But I've been talking about that. I've been talking about mindfulness, and I've been talking about trauma sensitive teaching and responding to trauma in so many different ways and for so many years. But I'm like, what is the main purpose of all of that, right? What is the purpose? And I had to think, what's the purpose for me to be focusing on it? Because I think everybody has a little bit different take on it. So my take on teaching SEL to kids, teaching mindfulness to kids, incorporating yoga principles, and supporting that kind of trauma sensitive, that that kind of vibe. I decided that the reason I was so invested in it and so passionate about it was because I have seen for myself and I have felt for myself, and of course I've studied it as well, that all of those things don't just make a person, especially like a student, better behaved or makes it easier to learn in a classroom. And these are true, it does this. But what it does is all of that impacts how we as individuals and children, especially as they grow up, are going through life with this energetic field in them and around them. And if that sounds kind of like, oh, that's too out there for me, just hold on 1 second, okay? Because what I mean by that is something that no matter how woo-woo or not woo-woo you are, you'll be able to relate to this. When you feel, say, happy and excited, that's a low, not excited, let's just say happy. That is a low level positive energy that you are feeling inside you. But more than that, other people will pick up on that. If you are excited about something, that's an even higher level positive, internally positive energy. However, as it becomes higher and higher, what might be feeling positive to you because it's so high, when other people are around it, it can actually feel like overwhelming. And if you've ever worked with children who are kind of sensitive to things like that, that's what I'm talking about. And so it's not the words spoken, it's not even the actions, although they're all very closely linked. It's the energy, or that we're feeling and expressing. It's coming, I want to think like it's coming off of us as we go through life. And then the opposite of that would be any energy that's low negative. Low negative might be like an energy of disappointment. And it's like you can feel that from someone before they say anything. And so that's what I'm talking about. And the main reason I'm talking about that is because over the last 15 years ish, I'm going to say 15 because we're 20, like starting around 2010. And I think that's what around the time, maybe 2009 or 12, something right in there, is when, people noticed, people whether it's scientists, psychologists, whatever, noticed an uptick in childhood anxiety. That anxiety became a common, frequent, almost ubiquitous experience in a child's day to day life. And it's not because of the kids, not because, oh, these people just gave birth to all these anxious kids. It's because there are so many factors surrounding any of us, but especially kids starting, say, 15 years ago, that were regularly um, having and then impacting that energy development within kids. And so instead of experiencing life as relatively, like this, like I said, that low positive, low negative, it became a lot of high, even positives, high positive and very low negatives, right? And that has kind of created an energy within them that's very anxious, because anxiety is high energy, but the mind is very worried, which is a negative, right? A very like almost frozen kind of thing. Or if you're in a loop, that's a lot of that is a lot of anxiety has looped thinking. So not to get too far down the rabbit hole with that, but that's what I'm like, this is what this is for, from my perspective. And so every time I put together a professional development course, or every time I talked with parents, about doing their kids getting their homework done, or even just greeting them at the beginning of the year, my perspective was, how can all of us, right? Meaning me, the schools, the teachers, the parents, how can we all support an energy that is developed in kids that's a little more subdued, with less frequent spikes and major drops, right? So I had to do a lot of reading, studying, training. A lot of that came from yoga, not from school, because that is a very anxiety, and that energy that I'm talking about, that energy. Because when have you ever heard of an administrator ask you about the energetic um, feeling in your classroom or with your own child, right? That's not the language of school. And so I had to think about, right now, how do I want to present really in critical information or curious information, whatever people were asking for, that related to helping their kids do well in school, or helping their kids be more focused in school, or helping their kids behave at home or behave in school, or all those things. And while I am a teacher, and a lot of that has a very strong academic purpose, for me, I started to realize it goes deeper, because this is what I realized. Academic success for a child is probably not the same as the way we now measure it, because we have to measure it. It has to be measurable. It has to be an easy, like concrete, and all these things that we have data points for now, which shows us whether a child is successful in school. And I think it goes beyond that. That's all. I'm not negating any of that, but I think it goes beyond that when it comes to any of us feeling successful.